Remember when Intel were king of the hill? That just seems like a long time ago that nobody really remembers. But when I bought my PC, I bought an i5 4690K, and you had to pay a premium just to get Intel CPUs. And nobody even considered AMD CPUs back then because it was just Intel i5 or Intel i7. Take your pick if you want a gaming PC. And now we have had at least maybe 3-4 years of Intel at 14 nanometer process. Ever since their Skylakes, they haven't really changed their process. So here we are. Intel has announced a delay on their 7 nanometer products, and they won't be out until possibly 2022 or 2023. Now, Tom's Hardware writes, Intel's 7 nanometer is broken. Company announces delay until 2022 and 2023. Intel announced today in its Q2 2020 earnings release that has now delayed the rollout of its 7 nanometer CPUs by 6 months relative to its previously planned release date, undoubtedly resulting in wide-ranging delays to the company's roadmaps. Intel's press release also says that yields for its 7 nanometer process are now 12 months behind the company's internal targets, meaning the company isn't currently on track to produce its 7 nanometer process in an economically viable way. The company now says its 7 nanometer CPUs will not debut on the market until late 2022 or 2023. And we know already that AMD CPUs are currently on 7 nanometer, and there was even speculation like just a month ago that we reported that AMD could have been looking at delaying Zen 3 Ryzen 4000 to put it on 5 nanometer, TSMC's 5 nanometer, but that rumor got squashed pretty quickly, and they're definitely coming out. So it's looking like it's probably going to be 7 nanometer for Ryzen 4000, and I guess that would make Zen 4 in 2021, which will be on 5 nanometer. Meanwhile, AMD is still looking to get their CPUs on 10 nanometer, their desktop CPUs. So this is all a bit of a mess for Intel, and true, 6 months is not a whole lot, but they're just definitely having some issues with the manufacturing process. Their stock took a dive this week. When they announced this, they lost 16% of their market cap. Previously, they were on about $60, and now they're on about $48. So they have lost significant amount of market cap as a result of this delay. Now, honestly, this is not a good result for anybody. Not good for AMD and not good for Intel. What we want in the market, at least for consumers, is competitiveness to bring the prices down and to improve products faster. So as a result of this 7 nanometer delay, they've also fired their head of their hardware chief, who was Dr. Venkata Murthy Renduchitala, and he departs on August 3, 2020. Now, I think the interesting thing about this is that there was some rumors that Intel would just outsource their 7 nanometer production, and Retired Engineer posted a translation of something in, I believe, DigiTimes or China Times. So I'll just read a bit of this. Computer process makers Intel and Supermicro will battle for TSMC's 7 nanometer generation process capacity next year. Intel is 12 months behind its internal targets for 7 nanometer yield performance, and the launch of its first 7 nanometer processor has been postponed until the end of 2022, Intel said. The company has reached an agreement with foundry leader TSMC to use TSMC's 7 nanometer optimized version of the 6 nanometer process for mass production of processors or graphic chips starting next year. TSMC doesn't comment on single customer orders or business development. Intel also said doesn't comment on market rumors. I tweeted out after this, I can't even imagine what the meeting would have been like between Intel and TSMC to use TSMC's 7 nanometer. And so this is pretty much a white flag to me, like from Intel. I I think there's going to be a lot of hurt for a little bit for Intel. If you're considering buying shares, I don't think this would be a bad time, honestly. In the next month or 2 months, this could be maybe the lowest Intel could be. And they'll be back though. They'll definitely be back because that's just how business works. It comes and goes in cycles. So don't count Intel out yet. But this is a huge lesson for everybody at Intel. I guess not to rest on their laurels and continue on with, their dominance in 14 nanometer wasn't going to last forever.